Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. Gangster-turned-politician Atiq Ahmed and his brother Ashraf were shot dead on a point-blank range on Saturday in cold blood. Just 2 days after Atiq's son Asad Ahmed was killed in a police encounter. These brutal murders are not the only ones. There are a string of murders which have happened like this, and these brutal murders have now shook the conscience of the nation. Of course, there are glaring questions as to why Atiq and his brother Ashraf were being taken for a medical examination late in the evening when there was no emergency. Why didn't the police fire? Why was media allowed so close? And of course, who sponsored the weapons of the assassins, which I'm told the cost of these weapons was worth above 7 lakhs. But the larger question is that why are these extrajudicial killings being celebrated? Is this a lethal cocktail of Yogi's right-wing politics and state complicity, which has almost breached its limit? I'm going to ask all these questions. I'm joined by a special panel, and let me introduce them to all of you one by one. Former IPS officer Yashovardhan Azad is there with us. Thank you, sir, so much for joining. I have Charat Pradhan, the veteran journalist from Uttar Pradesh. Thank you so much, sir. Manu Sharma, who's the Supreme Court lawyer, is also joining us. Thank you, Manu, for joining. Vinod Shukla is also joining us, is a veteran journalist. And Kavita Krishnan, the renowned social activist of the country, is joining us. Thank you, Kavita ji, for joining. And let me start the discussion today with Mr. Azad. So the first and the foremost question which everybody is asking is about the glaring lapses which have come on, on behalf of the police. The police could have been more cautious. Do you think that these are the glaring loopholes?
You're absolutely right. There is a grave lapse on the part of the police. In fact, I would call it a fatal error. Whenever you're protecting a dreaded gangster like Atiq, there are some very rigorous protection drills you have to follow. But unfortunately, what we saw was a caricature of security. And I don't know for what reasons, because if you have a proper protection drill team, they would be wearing bulletproof vests. In fact, they would give bulletproof vests to the criminals themselves. They won't be chained together like animals. They'll be separately, there'll be an access control. You will not allow press conferences to happen just like this. I mean, indeed, there are so many glaring lapses, it's late to point out. But secondly, the other important thing was that when you have somebody like Atiq, who has expressed fear for his life, and you also say that there could have been an attack on his convoy, more the reasons you should have told the court that you have certainly ordered a medical checkup every day. But, it's fraught with security implications, ferrying the man every day to the hospital. Therefore, these checkups can be organized at the place of incarceration. And the third is the way the whole thing was done in a shoddy manner really surprises me. What is technology for? Technology is for facilitating. Why couldn't you do video conferencing from Sabarmati itself? None of this would have happened, the killing of this guy and this and that. The fourth thing is, I am of the firm belief that if our political ecosystem keeps promoting and this mushrooming of little mafias who aspire to become dons in benevolent, dispensations is the root cause. So you promote an Atiq over 30 years, and then you down him in the other regime. And this is a racket. I mean, and it's not that it's only Atiq. There are so many dons along the way. So what suits one becomes a don. What doesn't suit you, they are hanging around. So one dispensation will be very happy because local bodies elections are coming. The other dispensation will be abusing the hell out of the regime, saying it's here. In the meantime, the Badlands will keep producing mafia. So it's a vicious circle we are trapped in. I think it was a fatal error on the part of police and also of the government.
I'll come to Kavita Krishnan, and then I'm going to come to Sharat ji. Kavita ji, how do you really see this whole incident where Asad followed by Atiq and Ashraf, have been killed. Whoever was involved, we do not know right now. But yes, fingers are being pointed to the police. Fingers are being pointed on Yogi Adityanath's right-wing politics as well. Do you think that this is a lethal cocktail which has almost reached its limit now?
I think that what we are seeing tells us a very, very grim and disturbing tale about the situation of our country today. And every person, no matter which party you support, should be very, very scared. Because let me talk about the institutions involved. I do not know the individuals. I know very little about the individuals who committed this murder. And I clearly know very little about police procedures and so on. Yashwardhanji has spoken on that. I think that this is a question about how institutions see themselves in relation to the Constitution. So the first thing is that when you have a culture, a political culture, where encounters are not seen as aberrations which are unfortunate and criminal, but they are positively encouraged, where the police is encouraged, where a politician contesting elections for chief minister is able to declare that I want encounters to happen. I'm going to kill these guys, irrespective of rule of law. That itself sends a loud and clear message that the rule of law is dead. I don't care. You can do what you like with the rule of law. Now, my problem is not, the persons involved who are killed, were they criminals, were they not? That is not the issue. The point is that if rule of law is to prevail in a country, then anyone has to go through they have a right to representation in court. They have to be accused of specific crimes. Those who are doing the accusing, namely the state, have to produce certain evidence and so on and so forth. So when you declare, and UP, that is what has been declared over and over again. The journalist Neha Dikshit has written a detailed study of the range of encounters that have taken place after during Yogi Adityanath's first tenure, and what the stories behind them were. And this is a story of corruption, let alone, the politics of communal politics and the politics of, heavy-handed state who will kill people. This is also a politics of corruption where the police says, I will encounter you if you don't pay me money. All of that. Now, the second thing is that the police themselves conduct a so-called encounter. Let us say that encounter is the wrong word here. If we want to use the correct term, let us say custodial killing. Because custodial, when you're in custody, it is the body that has you in custody, whether it's the prison, whether it's the police. It's their responsibility to keep you safe. And if you are in judicial custody, it is the court's job to ensure that the institutions keep you safe. If you suffer custodial torture or custodial death, then that death is assumed to be a killing unless proved otherwise. That is what multiple NHRC guidelines and so on have said over the years.
Right.
And finally, the thing is the media. So the media, I want to know the story about what the media was doing there. Why was the police, the police, when we have a protest of, 15 people, 20 people, they are there in hundreds of numbers to drag us away, beat us up and throw us and put us away. How is it that you are leading to people, and I will not call them gangsters, etc. I will say they're accused persons, okay? Because the point is, gangster is something I can say, you can say, which is a term based on our observation. But when they're in police custody, when they're going to be produced for medical examination in the court, they're accused. Gangster is a political term, then they are accused right then, and that's it. When two accused are being taken, and you are standing there allowing people, media to mill around, presumably encouraging media to mill around and interacting with media, and then three people posing as media are able to shout Jai Shri Ram. Whole thing is telecast live. And what do you see the police doing? Police are holding back those criminals while they're shooting. I'll just end with this, with something that has been keeping me awake at night. The final thing which should make us all worry about this scene is just try and invert the scene. Suppose it had been these gangsters shouting Jai Shri Ram, going around killing people, who were in police custody,
Right.
and some two Muslims had come up and shot them dead and shouted Allahu Akbar. Would the police have let them live there? I don't think that police should shoot anybody. I don't. But I'm saying, what is this culture where your whole, they would have called them terrorists. All this media would have been saying these are terrorists. Instead, they are talking about, this faisla, that faisla, and the coverage is absolutely, it makes my skin crawl. That's it.
Yeah, you made important points, Kavitaji, and I'm going to come to Sharad Pradhan now. And I'll just draw the viewers' attention to 3 tweets, which really made me sit up that night when Atiq and Ashraf were shot at. And then the kind of reactions coming after that, they were really shocking. Now, let me read that out for the viewers. Kailash Vijaywargiya, the veteran BJP leader, he tweets. Now, I'm going to say that in Hindi because the tweet is in Hindi. भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने गीता में कहा है जब राक्षसों का संहार होता है तब पृथ्वी का भार कम होता है. This is one reaction which is of Kailash Vijaywargiya. Then Swatantra Dev Singh, again another BJP leader, he writes पाप पुण्य का हिसाब इसी जन्म में होता है. Now the third one, Sunil Devdhar, RSS, he writes धर्म की विजय हो अधर्म का नाश हो प्राणियों में सद्भावना हो हर हर महादेव. And then there are visuals of crackers being burst. Now, Sharad, what would you really say to this kind of a reaction? Are we seeing a template where the BJP shamelessly and brazenly is going to celebrate? And if I may ask you very honestly, are they going to use it politically?
Well, I'm sure, to me, it's the appears more like a Talibani justice kind of thing, which, they may hate Taliban and everybody hates Taliban, all right. But to be adopting those means, and very rightly, Kavita ji has given a really remarkable example of how, perceiving that Atiq may be somebody who would belong to a different community and Muslims come and kill him, and it would have created havoc, and it would have, they would have busy, they're tom-tomming over it, and they would have gunned down all of them. The fact that the manner in which the whole thing has happened is, in any case, even at the 48 hours earlier, the son of Atiq, Asad, the way he was killed in that encounter, that very day it had become pretty evident that they would use this politically, because it pays them dividends. The people have become a part of a cult today, unfortunately, and they lap it up. So, and the divide is so sharp, it's getting increasingly sharper, that I will not be surprised that in the forthcoming urban local bodies elections, this is going to be used by the BJP to polarize votes. But what intrigues me further, Mr. Yashwardhan Azad has already pointed out the major, when he said fatal error, I would go a little step ahead of that. That is it error or is it a design? I don't know. But from what it seems, the fact this man Atiq, dreaded criminal, no, and normally people feel that one criminal down is always welcome. Fair enough. But this is not the way. I want to point out some contradictions. This man, when he was being brought from Sabarmati jail to Uttar Pradesh, there was so much talk, and the mainstream media was busy showing every minute of his movement. And the government was going to town saying, look here, the man is very, very dangerous. So we need so many people. We need commandos. We need hundreds of people to guard him all the way from Gujarat to Uttar Pradesh. And suddenly, when he reaches Uttar Pradesh, when he reaches his den, the area where he had earned all the notoriety of being a gangster, Prayagraj, which was earlier called Allahabad, and there suddenly the security threat is over. In the place where he is dreaded more than, certainly more than what he could have been dreaded all along through Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh and the states that he passed. Here, the guard is off. Why is a big question. Then police feels that the kind of justification that have been given on various channels, I've been on different channels and I've seen top police officers of the state giving a justification, retired and serving officers, giving justification, well, there was that kind of security threat was not shown. So that is why, they had only 17 cops, while all the way there were 150 cops guarding him. That is the reason they took him for a medical checkup. Under law, and Mr. Yashwardhan Azad will bear with me, under law, the medical team could have gone to do this routine examination in the lockup or jail wherever he was being taken.
Right.
There was no need to carry somebody with such a high security threat.
Right.
At 10:30 in the night, you cart him, you drop him outside the hospital. You don't even care to carry the vehicle inside the hospital. And you'll laugh if I tell you what the justification Mr. Azad, one retired DGP of UP, was giving last night on a show that I was there. He said that, in a hospital, you should not take vehicles inside. And you are not even supposed to honk in a hospital. So the police fellas were doing their duty of not creating any disturbance in the hospital. So that is why they took him for a walk.
But Charaji, just allow me to interrupt you. There were reports that these assailants, they had used a police van. How far is that true? I read it.
Well, I don't buy that theory. That has been given by some eyewitnesses. There could be, there could be reasons for putting, because I don't think police can go that stoop down to that level that they would carry the assassins in their vehicle. UP police is known for goof ups, but I don't think they would goof up to that extent.
Yes,
but this is a question which they have not been able to answer. Why were they made to go for a stroll? And that is the time when they got shot. Right. The Indian Express has put out a beautiful story on how many steps they walked and how these guys came in and did all that. So suddenly they have no answer to this. And they come up with this theory, the police officers coming up with this theory. Well, the court had not ordered that they should be examined in the jail itself. The police has to seek, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Azad, the police has to seek that request. They make that request to the court, and court could have given that. But even common sense, why they could have themselves taken suo motu, they could have taken this decision. Okay, we will ask the doctor to come and check them out, and there was no emergency.
Absolutely.
But all this goes to show that this was some kind of a facilitation being provided, and more importantly, considering that these three assassins belong to different places in UP, and they get together, they have weapons, each weapon costing about 7 lakh rupees. Obviously, they become from very poor kind of background, but of course, they have no connection to their home, so we can't go by that. They all have some criminal history also. Of course, not a match to Atiq's. So there is something bigger happening behind. And they are also legitimizing. By legitimizing, I think it is an extension of the encounter policy. I am calling it policy because encounters should not be a policy, but unfortunately we have that policy. So this is also sending a message to the common man. The murder for murder is the right way to deal with such people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we keep listening to many words, and Yogi's lexicon, if I may just put it as an extension of what Charaji has said. But let me come to you, Manu. Talking purely about the legal procedures. Now, for the last 3 days, we've been discussing this issue on various platforms. And the moment I start asking questions which are related to the judicial process, which are related to the legal processes, I'm being labeled as somebody who is an Atiq supporter, somebody who is an Asad supporter, somebody who doesn't think too much. And, those are the kind of labels which are being given to us, those journalists who are raising questions. Whether you're raising questions of the police, whether you're raising questions about the legal procedures. Now, what are those glaring lapses when you talk about the judicial and the legal processes? Right from the time Atiq was brought in from Sabarmati to the point where he was killed.
Well, I don't know the facts in detail about, and I have just read from the newspaper reports. An accused being examined medically is part of the remand orders on a day-to-day basis, whether that happens in a hospital, whether he's taken physically. or whether the facilities exist within the police lockup if he's facing police custodial interrogation, or the judicial lockup where he's maybe in a jail like Atihar jail in Delhi. That purely depends upon what the judge in the given facts of a case and the facilities which are existing decides. So, I mean, today you can go on criticizing the poor judge who has passed that remand order. I mean, I really don't know what existed in Prayagraj and Sabarmati and what kind of facilities existed, but that happens. I mean, that. And I think there is a lot of overthinking. I don't encourage police to stage encounters. I'm a strong advocate against that policy. But to jump to conclusions and say that this is some kind of a state-sponsored killing, that also is a little unfair here. Because people like Atiq, throughout the trajectory of their criminal careers, do make enemies. They become targets of hatred by people who they may have killed during the course of their criminal careers. And crimes like these are opportunistic crimes, where a person who thinks that, yes, today I have a way in and I can penetrate through the security, which may not be as per the standards which my friend Mr. Azad just mentioned. That individual may penetrate through it and carry out the killing. But to then start calling names and say that the whole system and the whole judicial setup and the whole state government machinery sponsored it, that's a little unfair and, according to me, premature also. So that's unfair, but how people react and how people use it has nothing to do with how it came to take effect. So if you say that a particular politician or a political party members are using it to further their ends, to advance their political causes, I mean, I can't comment on that they're free to do. That's a free country, free speech. But I think it's a little unfair. But I mean, now I'll come to the question that you've asked, that you are being labeled as a lover of Atiq or a lover of people who carry out gangster activities, and when they're assassinated, then the questions should not be posed. I mean, it's a democracy. You should raise questions, but your questions should not be framed in a manner as to suggest state sponsorship. Let's wait for the inquiry which has been set up, its report to come out, whether it was purely a lapse on the part of a couple of. And then comment. And a few weeks back, you were saying that that sealed cover business is bad, and I said yes, it is bad. And within a day, the Chief Justice of India had said that I'm not going to read into anything contained in a sealed cover. So let's.
So Manu, you are saying that media is being unfair when it raises these kind of questions?
No, I'm not saying unfair, but how you frame a question is depend. I mean, that your framing of a question speaks a lot about how you want that question answered, in the affirmative or the negative. That I have a problem in presupposing a given set of facts, or presuming that there is, in the present context, that state was complicit in this crime. I don't think this is the right stage to frame a question like that. I won't call you a lover of Atiq or a lover of gangster. I mean, I would not do that, and I don't support anybody.
Right. Kavita, you wanted to make a point, and then I'll come to Vinod. Yes.
No, you speak to Vinod. I just wanted to say one small thing, that it's not that it's an allegation on the state. Two things are there. One is that if members of the ruling party, which rules the state, are making statements basically saying this is justice and using a Hindu language to do that, the killing of 2 Muslim men accused, then basically, how can those state agencies under that government and under that party be expected to do justice? The media has to ask these questions. They can carry out. No, that is an allegation that must be made simply because they must answer. If the media cannot be told you can't ask this and you can't ask that, media must ask every possible question. It's not an allegation against the state that I made, for instance, when I said custodial killing. The NHRC guidelines have for long said that a custodial death must be treated as, the police must prove that They fired in.
This is not
They
a
fired in defense.
strictest sense of custodial death. It is not policemen who are accused of killing a person who was.
No, but he died in police custody.
No,
It's
it's
a police.
custodial
Why
death.
did no sorry, this is custodial death. A
This is
death in
custodial
jail
death.
also is a custodial death.
I
It's a
can
custodial
speak
death.
about what I understand of NHRC
No, it's a
guidelines.
custodial death. Let me take out the dictionary for you. Dictionary meaning of custodial death.
Okay. Yeah.
If you die in custody, it's a custodial death.
This is not a custodial death.
Okay.
come on.
Mr. Azad wants to make a point. Yes, Mr. Azad.
You know, I just want to weigh in on this point because we are getting into a terrain which is a very, very highly sensitive terrain. I don't think that every death in police custody is a responsibility of the police. I mean, even the NHRC has come out with the findings. You know, somebody goes and hangs himself in the lockup, and the inquiry shows that he hung up not because the police torture, but because he was apprehensive of something else. You know, we can't blame. So what I'm saying is, I agree with Mr. Sharma on one point. We cannot jump into conclusion. Second thing, I'll tell you a very humorous thing. You know, many of the things we think happens by design is actually the real situation on ground. Yes, the police was sloppy. Yes. Why don't you believe it? You know, in a situation like this, we would have had an actual police protection team which should have come from Lucknow. It did not. It was the Prayagraj police, and this is how they protect.
How did these killers know the police is going to be shoddy suddenly? How did they know?
How do you know?
That is a question but we have to ask. No,
how do
media
you
has
know
to ask
that
that. Media has to ask that question to the police. How did they know? That is a question that must be asked. So that's all she's asking. No, why say media can't ask? Media must ask.
Ma'am, you're already speaking from a bias when you say a gangster should not be called anything. But
when you say gangster, that's also a bias. I'm very sorry because these killers are gangsters. These killers are the murderers.
I stand by my word that he's not only a gangster, he's a killer. He has been convicted in one.
Convicted, yes.
Five regimes.
I'm saying here when a media uses the word gangster and says some other gangster killed him, you are changing this crime.
No, you are speak loosely. Will you let me speak or you speak? Yes. I never speak loosely. Every word which I speak is thought out well. This man has killed, murdered, did extortion racket across, meet 100 victims. I know them personally. I know the colleagues. I know the lawyers. I know the Badlands. Eastern UP is next to Bihar, which is my state. And this gangster, asked Mr. Sharma how High Court judges recused from hearing his case.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'll come to
you. speak to Vinodji. After that, I will read out from the NHRC guidelines. That's all I'll say.
Okay, I'll come to you, Kavita. I will
do that.
Shalaji, you wanted to make a point, and then I'll go to Vinod.
No, please go ahead, Mr. Shukla has been waiting for a long time. Please go ahead. I'll say
now, Mr. Shukla, I really want to understand. Now, why should we not say, and of course, everybody has admitted to the fact that Allahabad police was sloppy. It did not follow the protocols which it should have. And of course, the police is the government. In case of Yogi, when he says inside the Vidhan Sabha that main sab mafiyaon ko mitti mein mila dunga. This was the rhetoric which he said, and he spoke about this. I think it was on 25th of February when he made a comment inside the Vidhan Sabha. Now,
one day after the killing of Umesh Pal.
Umesh Pal was murdered on 24th. He made the statement on 25th. And look at the kind of encounters which have taken place. Almost 4 after that. Now, why should we not say that Yogi government is responsible? Why should we not say that UP police is responsible? And there is, in a way, some kind of a state complicity. Of course, we know what the Lakshman Rekha is. Of course, we know that we need to wait for the Judicial Commission to come out with its report in 2 months' time. But why should we not? Today, look at New York Times. They have come up with an article on Atiq's murder. Are the fingers not being raised on Yogi? Are the fingers not being raised on UP police?
See, Dilu, technical aspects and what police should do and is supposed to do, Yashovardhanji has discussed things in detail. So, more or less, I agree with him. So, there is no second thing about that. I want to say something else. 3 illiterate, semi-illiterate criminals have set the narrative of the country by shouting Jai Sri Ram, that it's a Hindu-Muslim killing. And the entire country, without investigating, without knowing the fact whether it was a Hindu-Muslim thing or whether they were sent by someone who basically we are talking about the gang. Who the gang is involved in this? Are these three people gang? Is these are three members of the gang? There is no one else. So we are here to ask questions, certainly, but there are other people who are asking the question. They should also be addressed, and they should also be taken into consideration. We cannot we cannot say that Atiq was innocent. He had at least 10,000, 20,000 enemies in the city itself.
No, but who's saying that Atiq is innocent? We have never said it in our programs. We all have said that he had more than 100 cases at the time when he died. He
Absolutely.
was a gangster. We all have said that. We've never supported Atiq of his murders or loot or whatever he's done. Nobody is supported. But the moment you start raising questions about the judicial and the legal procedures, then people think that, we have sympathy for Atiq. Why is this? We can easily do away with that. Why can't we answer simple questions on judicial and legal procedures? Without saying that you are an Atiq supporter, you are an Assad supporter. Look at the way people are writing on YouTube. The moment I start raising questions, yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the way people are asking, saying that you are a Atiq supporter, there are other section also who are saying something else. They are against your theory, what you are saying. So this is a simple criminal case where laxity of police is exposed. They fail to defend Atiq. That is the only case. If you are drawing Hindu-Muslim narrative, that is absolutely bunkum. There is nothing to do with
forget the Hindu-Muslim narrative. What about Yogi?
That is happening. Actually, that is happening. That is the issue that is questioning. That is the issue. That's why this question is being raised, that some journalists are with Atiq. That is why this question is being raised. Otherwise, there is nothing of that sort. It's a simple criminal case where a criminal is being killed by another set of criminals. That's it. There is nothing beyond.
Would you not hold Yogi Adityanath responsible?
No.
He's a chief minister.
Of course, it's responsibility. Of course, it's the responsibility. If it is the responsibility of the police is being headed, the entire state is being headed by the Yogi Adityanath, the responsibility goes to him. It goes to him. So there is no doubt about it. Nobody is questioning that. But my submission is that making it a Hindu-Muslim is ignoring other things, other people, other criminals who are behind this, who want the narrative to be changed.
Nilu, let me come in on that. Yeah. I'll come in on that, Nilu. Yeah.
Yes,
can I come in on that?
Yes.
See, the first thing is,
let me complete, Nilu.
Okay, Vinod, you complete your point, then I'll
show. I just want to say, suppose if the allegation on the police is that the police was negligent and deliberately negligent so that Atiq is killed, how he is get benefited, how the police is get benefited and the government is get benefited, because Atiq was gradually turning as a prover, and he was revealing information about the others. So it is rather a loss for the government, rather loss for the police.
From where are these details coming? From where are these details coming?
I'll send you details. That's why there are questions that selectivity
my question is simple. I'm coming to you. Just give me 2 minutes. I'm coming after this. But my question to you, Vinod, is that why are you not saying that Yogi Adityanath somewhere is responsible, because he's sending out a perception that, look, instant justice hona chahiye. There is no other way but instant justice. Is this not the perception being sent out by the Yogi government? Honestly,
Nilu, I categorically said that government, if it is headed by Yogi Adityanath, the responsibility is his. How many times and how many times more you want me to say this? I'm saying it is responsibility of the police and the government. and the government is headed by Yogi Adityanath. Is there any ambiguity?
No, but you did made a point on Hindu Muslim. Now, who's making it Hindu
No,
Muslim?
let me,
It is.
let me,
It is the
let me
it
say
is the
this now.
statutes who have made it
Neelu,
Hindu
let me
Muslim.
come in on that.
It is
Okay,
being made all
Sardaji
around.
wants to make a point. Let me
It is
See-
being made all around, not only here, all around.
Okay, let me say this. Na? The
Okay.
3 tweets that you mentioned, Neelu, who were they? They said they made it Hindu Muslim na, by making it out to be a
Yes.
Hindu justice. They made it Hindu Muslim. All 3 were BJP leaders belonging to the ruling party,
And
Yogi
the
Adityanath's
assassins too,
party.
and the assassins too, by raising Jai Shri Ram.
Yes.
Yes, so basically they tried to make it, and the BJP leaders, the criminals, the killers, they made it a Hindu. They tried to make it Hindu Muslim, and the leading leaders of the BJP, important leaders of the BJP, weighed in, and they supported those killers. So instead of saying that media is speaking, there are reasons why media may be said to be speaking Atiq's language. Rather, it is the BJP leaders who are speaking the language of the killers who killed on camera. So I think that is one thing. Secondly, let me just read this out to you. This is the NHRC guidelines. It says guidelines regarding conducting of magisterial inquiry in cases of death in custody or in course of police action, both death in custody and police action. What does it say? It says the inquiry magistrate during the visit to the scene of crime, the inquiry officer should make an attempt to identify witnesses, etc., who were present at the scene of crime. And then it says that many a time members of the family narrate the motive of a police officer, that saying he has staged the encounter for killing the deceased. The motive so given should be thoroughly investigated for its veracity and otherwise. The word crime has been used twice, which means that even in the NHRC, you are assuming a custodial death to possibly be a crime in which the police officer's possible involvement must be investigated, after which you establish based on facts that it was not. Okay, so this is absolutely crystal clear, Neelu. No, this is exactly the words here. And the second thing is the point that the public and the media has to ask is that if you simply say, you see, what I'm saying is, Atiq as a political figure, he's a gangster criminal politician. Fine. My point is that in this particular case where he was walked through with no protection, with so little protection, in a place where these 3 people knew media would be present, knew they could pose as media, knew there will be little protection, knew they can come in and the police are not going to shoot them. They go ahead and shoot. They could make these assumptions. Let's pretend these are assumptions. Let's assume that these are simply guesses, good guesswork on part of the killers. Okay. The point that, and it's not all planned by the BJP government and all. Fine. What allowed these 3 killers to assume these things? What is the cultural context being created by this government that says that if you do this, our leaders are going to step in and say, quote the Gita, and the sacred texts of the Hindus. Important texts which are not to be used in this useless, a behuda manner. Okay, these texts are to have higher meanings. Instead, you are reducing it to defense of a killer like this, as though they are like Arjuna fighting a battle for the justice.
On the custodial
How
bit,
shameful is that?
Yes, let me get it. Custodial bit, and then I'm going to come to Vinod again, and then go to Sharaji. Yes, Manu, your thoughts on.
My friend has got it all wrong. This is the NHRC guidelines which govern custodial deaths. The facts of this case do not warrant the application of these guidelines. Here, the police are not facing the allegation of having killed Atiq. So this will not fall into that category.
It says both things. It says custodial death or police action. Yeah, it is saying it clearly that the death in custody or police action. This man was in custody of the police and he died. If he dies in jail and he was killed by other prisoners, that will be considered a custodial death. I'm sorry. So this was a case where a man in custody of the police. I'm amazed we're having to argue this with a lawyer. This is amazing. Let's see show me the definition of custodial death in the law.
Let's allow Manu to make his point. Let's allow Manu to make his point. Yes, Manu.
Engage with Ms. Krishnan or to show that I am in any way superior. I'm just saying if her argument is correct, then any world leader, political leader, any celebrity who has police protection and that individual happens to be killed or assassinated it would become a custodial death.
No, it
If
says
it
under the
is
section 302
then in
IPC,
that
if a
case,
police
then Rajiv
officer is
Gandhi-
liable for the death of a suspect.
Kavita ji, let Manu complete his
I
point.
think we're just discussing it in a very civil manner. If that's the argument, then Rajiv Gandhi's assassination would lead to the entire Tamil Nadu police being.
Rajiv Gandhi was not being not being held in custody by the police. He was not
Let's have a
chained by
separate
the
program
police.
on custodial death.
A
There's a
prisoner
difference.
is a person in custody,
have a-
not a political leader being protected. I mean,
let's
these
have
are
a-
illegal
Kavita
definitions.
ji,
These are extra
Kavita ji,
legal definitions.
Kavita ji, we'll have another program on custodial death, and we'll try and
Yeah.
make it threadbare. But here, coming back to Atiq Ahmed, Ashraf Ahmed, Asad Ahmed, again, I'm coming to you, Vinod. Now, look at the lines which New York Times has written today. And is it not a big embarrassment for Yogi Adityanath, for India as such, when they write, the killings raised concerns about how deeply extrajudicial violence, which often carries religious undertones, has seeped into the governance of the state of Uttar Pradesh. Yogi Adityanath, a hardline Hindu monk who's the state's leader, praised earlier killings of Ahmed's son and associates. Since Adityanath took over as chief minister in 2017, officials say that there have been more than 180 such killings. You would again say that this is Hindu and Muslim? Who's making it Hindu and Muslim? I just want a little clarification from you. Then I go to Sharad and Mr. Azad for the final.
Absolutely correct, Dilu. Any newspaper has the right to publish anything, and if we start taking lesson from every foreign newspaper that is happy doing story on Delhi's school, New York Times and all, then let them write. Let them write anything. Indian
so you
media.
Think that it's not a big deal.
Let me complete. Let me complete.
Writing about it,
Neelu, let me complete. Do you think Indian media is incapable to do such stories and they are biased?
It is. It is incapable. Let me say that. Brazenly, that Indian media is incapable. Let me say that, honestly.
Why does Indian media do stories on custodial killings in the
You are doing
US?
something wrong, Mr.
Kavita ji, I did not speak with you, so please let me complete and I have my word to say. Okay, so if you are saying that Indian media is incapable, so we all incapable people are here. We cannot discuss Atiq and whatever we say is biased. So let's end it here. So this is not the case. I don't think Indian media is incapable. It is capable enough to do. Right? You are capable. You are raising this issue. I wanted to say something else. If you take every story of foreign newspapers, they will have only that thing to say, that everything is bad in India. Every minority is being killed and there is no development. They have very nice story about ratings. India, Sri Lanka and Pakistan's rating was better and they are fighting for Gandum. So these kind of stories you will get. But the problem is we don't want to come out of our colonial hangover. We are still there. We wait for our Lord and Master to say something and repeat that. So we must have to come out of that colonial hangover, that mindset. माई बाप जो कह रहे हैं वही ठीक है. We must have to come out of that mindset. And instead of following foreign newspapers, better we take Indian whatever.
So should we buy headlines? Should we buy headlines like Atiq Khalas? This is one of the banner headlines.
So does Express or Hindu write Atiq Khalas? Does other news?
I just gave you one example. Why do you
want yellow journalism to rule your mind?
So New York Times क्या है? वो भी yellow journalism है. That was one thing you picked out. You picked out just NYT.
That's what my point is.
Kavitaji,
And when the
Kavitaji,
foreign media,
Kavitaji,
when the foreign
Kavitaji,
media
वो तो
plays,
फॉरेन मीडिया का रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हो गया, नेता हो गया.
can I get a chance to
Kavitaji, don't
speak?
put your words in my
Kavitaji, I'm
mouth.
coming to you.
Don't put your words in my
coming to
mouth. Let me have my say.
But Vinod, for whatever you're saying, there is
I
an
can have a
impression
laugh.
that Yogi ji jo kar rahe hai is all right. You are trying to, in a
How
way,
many times, Neelu, I need to clarify that I'm not giving. Who am I to give clean chit to Yogi Adityanath? I said at least thrice in your debate. This is the third time I'm saying that you cannot give clean chit to Yogi Adityanath. It is his responsibility as the head of the state government. He should be answerable for everything, and he is answerable. There is no doubt. Is there any doubt about it? Is there any doubt?
He'll be answerable
Nilu,
only
will
if he
somebody
asks
else get a
questions.
chance?
He'll be
Nilu, will
answerable
somebody else
only if he
get a
asks
chance to
questions to
speak?
Yogi. Yes, Sharaji. And then for the
Because I just have 4 small points to make. One is on Mr. Vinod Shukla's remark that we should not look at the foreign media as all bunk, and we should not have this colonial mindset. But we probably, I don't know whether he means it or not, but its implication, what I understand is that you should only believe when they are praising us. When they praise Mr. Modi, you should take it, you should clap. Then foreign media is no problem. The second point I'd like to make, what Kavita pointed out, was I fully agree with that on that issue, that when she tried to stop Mr. Sharma from comparing Rajiv Gandhi's assassination with that of Atiq. Certainly, it doesn't make any sense to compare the two. It's like comparing apples with oranges. Then the third thing, Mr. Azad, when he talks about the failure of the police and failing to get this the threat perception, understand the threat perception, what I wish to know that why shouldn't the police have had this much assessment for what I mean is would you believe that those 17 people who were on duty on that at that point of time of the local police, this decision, do you think could have been taken at their level? In case of a man like Atiq, or the notorious dreaded criminal like Atiq, could they have decided on how to manage his security?
right.
And one last thing is talking about when we raise questions. I have raised questions on the we hope that you would get justice from the Judicial Commission. The past track record is very poor in Uttar Pradesh. Invariably, when you engage retired judges, whether of the Supreme Court or High Court, you handpick those judges, and invariably we have seen in the past that in some cases, that I'm not saying that all are wrong, in many cases they churn out tailor-made reports. We have seen it happening in Vikas Dubey's case, where there was a retired Supreme Court judge and a retired DGP, and less said the better about both of them. This is what had happened. So these are just I wouldn't like to go into details.
No, but you've summarized everything in those 4 questions which you raised, and I'm going to come for the final comments very briefly to each one of you. Mr. Azad, starting with you. Yes.
I have lost track of the discussion because I don't know. We started off with the killing of Atiq, and then what are the allegations? I don't understand. Is the allegation is that complicity of the state government? I mean, I totally agree that the state was winning the war against Atiq. He had already got a conviction in one, and therefore it would have brought more laurels. I mean, not to do anything to him, but to go through the judicial process. The mistake was that he was brought from Sabarmati to here. Technology would have easily ensured video conferencing. Third, I don't think every custodial, there are killing in a death in every custody is to be imputed as a crime. It is not registered as a crime, and Mr. Sharma would support me on that. That मर्ग तरमीम होता है crime में जब वो ऐसी बातें पता लगती हैं. And the fourth point is, many of the things which we see as design are actually, lapses on the field which take place. Now, if that's why I said, I've written my article, there are so many things. Why didn't the police take remand? That's a very important thing. If they would have taken remand, they would have come out and found out what is exactly behind this coordination, things like that. And before that, I agree, to come to any premature conclusion, and we should not, it's not really correct to sort of sweep everybody in the same carpet, to sweep police as, encounter only, they only believe in it. There are policemen, I mean, who are good policemen, I think. And there are people also in the state government who have conscience. So that is exactly what I have to say. This is a pure police lapse, and this shouldn't have happened.
Okay, Manu, your last word, and then I'll
Yeah,
go.
can I just add one thing, Neelu? Just one point that I would wish to make is that it is being talked about much in public domain that this is a serious allegation that Atiq Ahmed's successive governments, different political parties, most political leaders have had an axe to grind with Atiq.
Yes.
For various reasons, taking favors from him, doing favors to him. All successive governments, including this one. There is a minister in the Yogi Adityanath cabinet whose nexus with Atiq is an open secret.
Right.
I mean, so much so that people even were ready to believe that the son Asad was taking refuge in his house for some time.
Right.
So these kind of, and incidentally, that minister's wife has been, her ticket for mayorship has been turned down at the last minute after being awarded once. So
Okay.
these are things which cannot be overlooked.
Absolutely. Manu, your last thoughts, and then I'll go to
I
Kavita.
just want to say that this is not the first time that someone who was under police protection was killed. These things happen. It's happened in Bombay. It happens in Delhi. These happens in gang war all the time, all across the world. I would say it's happened in Italy, US, everywhere. They deserve to be investigated, and of course, wherever the responsibility lies, the agency will find fault. And on the face of it, it just looks like that the police were not quick enough to respond to the situation which evolved in that moment. But it's unfair to start terming the whole state or the judicial setup as complicit in it. These are all individual lapses. Those individual lapses may deserve departmental inquiries too, at the most. But I can't say at this moment that they were in hand in glove with the people who carried out the killing. So that's.
I must admit that 40 policemen have also been suspended in this particular case. Yes, Kavita, your last points, and then I come to Vinod.
Yeah, I just want to basically say that there is in no way, it is in no way irrelevant to this murder. In fact, by speaking about custodial responsibilities of the police and other institutions, I am in fact not doing what Mr. Shukla accuses us of doing, which is turning it into Hindu-Muslim. I'm absolutely talking about law and order. And I have the Ministry of Home Affairs website has a detailed list about the duties of police officers, about people in custody, and says very clearly that the officer in charge shall be responsible for the safety and safe custody of those arrested. And there are other, apart from international law, even the books by Mr. Hakim Rai, who has been a police officer, about death in police custody, very clearly says even for suicide in police custody, the police is responsible, because you're supposed to have ensured that this person does not have the means to commit suicide. And you are supposed to ensure that no one else has the means to kill him. So when a person is deprived of their liberty, Rajiv Gandhi is not deprived of his liberty. When the police arrest someone, they deprive that accused person of their liberty. Thereby, there are certain responsibilities on them towards the person they have deprived of liberty, whereby that person cannot defend themselves, and he's not just some guy walking down a street or a politician about to make a speech.
Okay. Yes, Vinod.
Vinod, on the Hindu-Muslim issue, can I just make one very, I'll just take 10 seconds.
Yes,
I just want to, before you go to Mr. Shukla, I just want to, for his knowledge, probably he must have heard of those cases. There was this Hashimpura case, not today, in a Congress regime, in which 42 Muslims were killed by the police. That matter went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has nailed down all those policemen. There was this next to Hashimpura, that 24 hours after that, Maliana killings were happening. 32 or 34 Muslims were killed. So this is how things become Hindu-Muslim in this country.
Okay. Yes, Vinod, your final.
See, Dilu, I have always been saying that selectivity is the major issue. Let me say there are two things. First, Saradji has talked about Maliana and whatnot. but he conveniently forget to mention killing of Palaghat Thakur. So this is what Hindu-Muslim, this is how Hindu-Muslim happens.
Yes, yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yes, both ways.
This is
But at least you
just-
accept that both sides.
Saratji, let me finish. Let me finish. Now, second point. Saratji has said that judicial inquiries will not produce anything. They are hushed up, no results.
May not. I said may not. Don't
Okay,
twist
may
words.
not, may not. But
Because the past
Saratji,
background.
okay, but when law minister of the country says that retired judges are compromised, then freedom of speech and then whatnot is compromised. So this is selectivity. This kind of selectivity should be avoided. And the final thing that was also said by Saratji. He said that some ruling party MLA gave shelter to if I heard.
Minister. I said
Okay.
minister.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but Saratji again conveniently forgot that who made Atiq what Atiq is today. That is in the public domain.
All I have said, all political parties.
We've always
All
said
political
this.
parties.
He has been
Sir,
nurtured
this-
and been protected by all regimes.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have said that.
But
We have said
but
I'll
you
have to end the
said
program now.
about you specifically said about ruling party, but
I said about
but
all
did not
parties. You
but
are
did not
I raised
but did
questions
not
on the
but did not say
of the kind
but
of
did not
rhetoric
say
that
about
we
the
do.
other.
Vinod Shukla
So
ji is
this
being
is
selective.
sir,
You are being
sir,
this
sir,
selective.
this
conversation
is
will become
this is
Don't
the
be
endless.
selective.
selectivity.
This
This is
Don't
the
be selective.
selectivity that I always
Vinod,
contest, that I always oppose. So this kind of selectivity should be avoided.
You are
If
being
want-
selective.
Okay,
No,
okay.
no,
Now
no,
this discussion will become endless. I'll
but
have
I
to
did
end.
not mention. I am
Vinod,
responding. I am
Vinod,
responding.
please.
I did
I'll
not
have to
mention
end the
about any
discussion.
political party.
Vinod,
I
Vinod,
respond.
Vinod, I'll have to end the discussion, but
Please.
questions are being asked of Yogi Adityanath because of the rhetoric he has been whipping up. Had it been for Samajwadi Party, which was a ruling party, we would have questioned Samajwadi Party also.
Absolutely.
So be sure and let's not talk about selectivity. When
But the
happened-
monster
when
is
Palghar
created by
happened-
Samajwadi Party.
when
The monster is
Palghar
created by
happened,
Samajwadi
No,
I
Party.
remember. No. When Palghar happened, I remember I held the discussions on 3 platforms about the Palghar incident. So let's not talk
Yeah.
about that. Let's talk about the real questions which are emerging out of this story. I'll have to end the debate. I'm really running short of time. Thank you so much, Mr. Azad, Manu, Kavita, Sharaji, and Vinod. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more interesting updates.